Have you ever had a scene presented to you where the editor had cut his scene to somebody else's piece of music, and then they asked you to create something similar?
I have, not on this film, but I had that with one film where it had obviously been cut to a piece of music so that the twists and turns, the tempo changes, everything was the same. It was a very difficult thing to do something fresh. And sometimes if you try to just throw it out and do something different, they want you to go back to that. It depends. The directors always say, oh, the temp is just a jumping off point, it's just a blueprint. We really want you to do your own thing. And then you get down to it, and it's like, that's not often the case.
Do you find yourself walking the tightrope of copyright infringement?
Gosh, I hope not.
It's a scary thing. There's only 12 notes after all.
Yeah. Is that something that haunts you guys? Like the sort of like, is something going to come out of somewhere, somebody's going to come out of nowhere and say this sounds really similar?
When I work on something, I usually have, we probably all know roughly what would be sort of legally the thing to avoid, but I always have a thing where just morally, I'm like, we won't get sued for this, but I don't feel good. If somebody was getting this close to a piece of mine, I really wouldn't be happy about it. And I'll always tell the director when we're at that point, because oftentimes there's like maybe one or two cues that they cut to that's really specific. And ultimately you want to find exactly what's working about it. So maybe it's the pacing, maybe it's the instrumentation, and then make it your own. But I'll always say to the director, hey, I don't feel comfortable going any closer than where we are now. So if you're married to that, see if you can license it, or let's just explore some other directions and see what happens.
Yeah, the other thing, and this is a caveat to directors, is sometimes you're working on a fairly low budget film and they've tempted with, Dark Knight or something, and it's 90-piece orchestra and 50 member chorus, and you're on a very tight budget, and you have to let them know right away, this is not going to happen the way you're imagining it.
It was the feeling of those scores, and I think the more you can put the actual music aside and really talk about the feeling of what those temp scores are, I think then you can start a conversation.
Yeah, it's about finding the right music for this film, and reading the temp, and then they like yours better, and then you're there.
Yeah.
But that's also a really good point, is that you weren't looking at the movie saying, this is exactly how I want to do it like that. You're saying this is suggesting something. Temp should be suggestive. If the temp is what you really want, I say you have to license it. I can't do it. Even if I did it exactly, it would not be it. So I always say, if you really love that, and if that's the thing, get your music supervisor working on it.
Yeah.